The symptoms that I was experiencing prior to coming to Deer Hollow, I was having nightmares multiple times a night. I was terrified of even trying to go to sleep. And when I could go to sleep, I would self-medicate myself so much with sleep meds and alcohol that I just passed out. I was starting to have flashbacks. I didn't even know what would happen. I would sometimes feel like I was leaving my body and completely lose track of time and space. And my wife says that I would sit at the dining room table for hours. And I would argue with her about it's like, no, I didn't. I've not been sitting here for hours. I've just been sitting down for a few minutes. It got to the point where I was having short-term memory problems. I would forget appointments. I would forget, things that I was supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. At home, I was completely non-existent. I was not present. Even when I was in a room full of my family, I wasn't there. I felt like work was really the only place that I could still function. I felt like work was the only place where I was still able to just do life, because while I was at work, I had to play a role. The last several years, I would lie in bed all night long, awake, terrified that we were going to get a call. Definitely my performance started to suffer, and I got to a point where one day I knew I couldn't do it anymore. The thing that brought me to Deer Hollow was I had made a very serious suicide attempt. And that was it for my wife. When I got to Deer Hollow, when I was sharing, we do what we call a timeline, of a trauma timeline. And that was the first time ever that I shared everything that I had been holding on to, that I had never told anybody, the things that were truly eating at me. And prior to that, I hadn't done that. I just internalized everything. I can't even describe in words the profound shock to my system. All of my emotions wanted to come out of me at once. And it was a physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, a dump of everything that I'd been holding on to. Just absolutely changed my life, turned my life on a dime. When I came home from Deer Hollow, I had multiple people throughout a several-month time frame say to me, like, wow, you're a whole different person. Like, apparently, I had a pretty sharp edge and a very high level of intensity on it, just walking around on a day-to-day basis that I was not aware of. It blew me away that people would say those things. I had no idea. A year after I left, I also went through the intensive outpatient program. It was an online program. That was exactly what I needed, and one of the best decisions that I made through the whole process. And that kind of put me over the hump and got me back on my own feet again. It took a couple of years, but I don't ever feel like I was on my own. The things that I used, things that I learned in Deer Hollow, are second nature to me now. It doesn't mean that life is a bowl of cherries and that it's perfect on a day-to-day basis. The difference is now that I have tools that I can use to help me cope. I actually have coping skills now. I actually have built up some resiliency that I didn't have before. Certainly not perfect, but it is night and day different from where I was before I came here.